Here we go. This one. I heard it was pretty good.
We're gonna have a new segment on the stream, which might.
We watched like a minute or two in the very beginning of the stream, but I wanted to watch a little bit more. Did Hasan actually win? Bassam really wanted it. Well, I don't know if he's won just yet. I don't know if he's won just yet. What is this message? What is this message? I noticed. You know what you did, and you know I'm talking to you. Neo Baller XX Sniper win 95. Take your meds, chatter. Okay? All right, take your meds, chatter. Okay? All right.
Never happen again, but I'm calling it a new segment. It's going to be called Slop Watch, where whenever a slop YouTuber steps out of their lane and talks about something serious, we fact check them. So we're going to fact check a slop YouTuber who usually talks about like Minecraft streamer drama, but decided to delve in to Israel-Palestine recently out of no reason aside from the fact that they hate Hasan. This is basically it. Like, these people used to make drama videos about gaming YouTubers, but then Hasan came onto the platform. You know, he's on the same platform as the gamers. So now, like, they hate him for getting more viewers than them while talking about things that actually matter. So now, like, in between the videos about like the latest like scandal of like I don't know, Pokimane having an affair with Asmongold's dog or some shit like that. You know, the gamer World of Warcraft, League of Legends, whatever the fuck. I'm just throwing out words that I don't know what they mean. You now have this guy who has the brain power of like an almond telling us what to think about geopolitics, what to think about genocide. So we're going to check out what WillyMacShow has to tell us. Just to check out the direction of his content. The direction of his content is put someone with lots of followers.
Dude, this guy pays his bills exclusively off like Hasan. I feel bad for this guy because he's sort of like, at this point, he has two options laid out in front of him. He can go back to being a wagey, or he has to spend the rest of his life or his online career. Silence, Anti-Semite. He has to spend the rest of his career giving himself brain damage by making videos, making YouTube slop about creators that he hates because he's convinced himself to hate them. I would almost feel bad. No, it's okay to him. He had the brain damage when he was going into it. It's just tough, dude. It's just sad. I think I would be depressed if the only content I was allowed to make was content about other YouTubers or other streamers. Cause like I don't talk about other streamers because I have to. I talk about other streamers because I'm in it for the love of the game. Okay? And I appreciate being able to switch between doing lighthearted content where I get to make fun of streamers and YouTubers that push out slop as a way to cut through talking about the fact that our fucking presidential cabinet is going to be filled with people who are billionaires and who have worms in their brains. So when I get to consume slop, or when I get to consume drama, or when I get to consume nonsense, it gets to be fun because it's a nice break from the fact that like our government is totally fucked and we're totally boned. If the only content you're allowed to make is this content, it's so jover for you, man. It's so jover. And you never get to even do anything that's like fulfilling or brings joy to you, or like anything that provides value. Like, at least I get to look back and be like, dude, the fact that we got to fundraise $1 million for Palestine, that's fucking amazing. The fact that I got to fundraise after like earthquakes, thousands of dollars in this community, that's fucking amazing. The fact that we got to fundraise separately just with our own little community for Palestine and raise like, I think it's like $5,000 or something, that's fucking amazing. Like, I get to be the reason why there's actual positive change happening in the world. That's so fucking cool. It would be so fucking depressing if the only content I was allowed to make, the only content that people would watch, is slop about how much I hate other YouTubers. Jesus.
In the title. There is not a single video on his channel that is not about another YouTuber. And by far the videos that get the most views are the ones about Hasan, so that's why he's making them. So, let's check it out. Let's see what he's got to say, and let's fact check him for as long as we reasonably can, until it becomes so grating that we would prefer not to live anymore. Let's check it out.
Last year, I started documenting Hasan for his blatantly false reporting.
Why do you talk like that? Why do you talk like that? What is this voice, for one? This is not a real person's voice. I thought my video voice was bad. What's this?
I was right about Ukraine. That's right. War is not imminent. Oh, shock.
An Israeli airstrike hit the Al Ahli hospital.
You were so right. They added 7,000.
Like, he just puts that in. This is not something that these people like to do. Like, they don't actually have to provide proof or evidence for their claims. They just, like, point at someone else saying something and insist that it's wrong without being able to explain why. People who consider themselves political commentators do that, so obviously a slop YouTuber is going to do it way more.
1,000 new troops. So what's going to end up happening is that by April, this is going to be done.
IDF didn't bomb the hospital. Change title. IDF didn't bomb the hospital. Yes, it did.
Does this guy provide any evidence that it didn't bomb the hospital? No, he doesn't. He just insists that it didn't. And because Hasan said that it did, it must be wrong.
Yes, it did.
I criticized him for being a propagandist, coming to conclusion.
Am I the only person that thinks, like, his beard looks like it was put on with a marker? He looks like he's missing some polygons. Sorry, beard. Sorry, beard. The editing of this is so atrocious. I know.
Conclusions on breaking news when the story.
Someone said it was giving Sid the sloth.
Been fully reported on.
You right now is the same thing.
You are somehow coming to incorrect conclusions about something literally a year later. So you don't even have that excuse.
You always do. I'm just saying,
No,
like this, you're
just
doing
stop
it in
saying
real
it's the same thing
time.
you always
You're doing
do.
it in real time, bro.
Over the course of an 8-hour broadcast, if you look to literally 3
How
moments,
come nobody
you
else
can find,
shut
you can
up
find,
as much as you, dude? That does 8-hour broadcasts.
because no one has the most psychopathic fandom like idiots like you who sit through every minutia.
Isn't it great? Like, you're just supposed to like look at this and assume that he's right or something. He doesn't actually need to make any arguments. Doesn't need to provide any proof of his claims. You just look at this and it's like, well, does he actually do that at some point? Let's find out. It's like, look at all these things that he just, I'm insisting is sort of self-evidently bad. Because I don't actually know why they're bad. I just sort of have a gut feeling that they're bad. So let me show them to you. Like you saw in the previous segment where I responded to like a clip of Ethan, like a Ethan Klein Zionist compilation. Rather than just showing you the clip and insisting, oh, this is wrong. I told you why it's wrong. This guy shows you a clip and you're just supposed to listen to it. And I guess it's wrong just because he's pointing at it, I guess.
To find a
called
clippable
research.
moment,
It's
to
actually
find a
just called-
clippable
it's
moment
just
to be
called
like, he
basic
sucks, he's
research.
bad. That's
You
the
make
reason,
research
dickhead.
sound bad.
All right.
He followed this up by interviewing a terrorist, eating up propaganda about taking hostages.
Terrorists, right? You can just brand someone as a terrorist if you're this fucking white guy who sounds like he's struggling to speak. You're this guy here. You can just say that someone is a terrorist, providing zero evidence for it. Why is he a terrorist? He's an Arab in Yemen. Why else would he be a terrorist, right?
Excuse you, he's a terrorist. Sorry, he's a kid in Yemen with a gun. It's very different. That's obviously a terrorist.
Someone who, by the way, like what terrorist attack has he committed? What terrorist attack has he committed? I can point to you a terrorist attack that Hila Klein has participated in. What terrorist?
And this is why like being a right-wing grifter is so easy. Everything is self-evident. You can show anything at any time. You don't need proof. You just say that it's obvious and then you move on and everyone claps. Like you can just pull up a picture of a brown person holding a gun and being like, as you guys can see, Exhibit A, terrorist. Moving on, Exhibit B, terrorist. And like the people who consume this content, they're like, yes, slop, yeah. You didn't provide any proof of any of the things that you said, but I believe you because I already thought that before I watched your video. It's like, oh, fuck, dude. Jesus.
attack did this guy participate in? Could you point to that for us? Which one? What did he do? I'd like to offer... I believe his name is Rashid Al-Khalidi. We will crowdfund a GoFundMe so you can sue whichever one of these people you choose. This guy could be the easy target. There's precedent for this working because, for example, Sacha Baron Cohen's video Bruno, he framed a random Palestinian grocer as like a terrorist, and he ended up having to pay that guy hundreds of millions of dollars in a defamation case, or at least tens of millions. Rashid, my friend from Yemen, you have a chance at a huge payout here, and we will gladly crowdfund you. Pick like the most egregious of them, calling you a terrorist, and let's get them in court trying to justify that label. I'd love to see that. That would be fantastic.
Propaganda about taking hostages.
He's saying he hasn't spent much time with Chinese people, but one of the captain was Chinese, and he did caught with them, and he danced some music with them, and he was vibing. So he.
This is funny, by the way, because not one of the captains in any of the ships that the Houthis seized in that anti-genocide blockade, by the way, literally a blockade against Western shipping that to put pressure on Western countries and Israel to stop doing genocide. That's what that is. Nonetheless, there was literally no Chinese captain, obviously. How did he talk to a Chinese captain when there is no Chinese captain? What he did is he saw an unrelated video, a TikTok from before this was even happening, of like a ship captain who had docked in Yemen, like doing drugs with Yemenis. A Bulgarian at that, not even a fucking Chinese, because there's no Chinese captains in Yemen. There's no Chinese captains involved in this at all. So he's talking about a TikTok video that he watched, and these guys say like, okay, that's like dispositive evidence.
It was actually $110 million that Sacha Cohen Barrow was sued for. Mock, thank you for the prime.
Terrorist. Also, even if he had talked to a captain, how would that make him a terrorist? Is terrorism when you speak to someone who was like a crew member of a ship that was seized in an anti-genocide blockade? Just speaking to them makes you a terrorist? Is that how this works? I would love to get this guy on stream to explain to us his logic and also to get him to present to us his evidence.
He likes them, yeah.
So I mean, what? That's so crazy.
He's saying that they went over the cruise on these.
Is the entire video just like him rehashing a video that he already made, where you're supposed to look at the clips and just assume that he's correct? That whatever he's implying about this is right, even though he provides zero evidence for you to believe that? Like, the reason why this guy is being called a terrorist by this guy is because he's Arab. That's literally, his criteria to be a terrorist is to be Arab. He could not explain to you what terrorist attack he's engaged in. He couldn't even explain to you what terrorism the Houthis have supposedly engaged in. He could just point to like the anti-genocide blockade, and then if he had to deal with a counter-argument on that, he would flop in 2 minutes because he doesn't fucking know what he's talking about. Honestly, these people are embarrassing. Like, who watches this and is just like, yup, you know, he's clearly owning this guy here by just showing a video without being able to refute a thing.
Ships, and they like win them over with their charm, and they make them hate America and the U.S. government.
That's so funny. Okay, that doesn't probably take much.
Yeah, hilarious. The crew is still held captive, and Hasan continues to.
Which crew? Where's the Chinese captain here? Where's the Chinese captain here? Could you point to the Chinese captain for us? Because there is no Chinese captain. Like, we are supposed to believe that stopping ships that are trying to run a blockade to put pressure on countries supporting a genocide, no less, that is terrorism. That is bad. He doesn't need to explain to us why it's bad. He can just point at it because he and his audience are of the same intelligence level, so it works on them.
And Hasan continues to glorify terrorism by playing their propaganda and passing it off.
These are terrorists and this is their propaganda. These are terrorists and this is that. He doesn't even need to prove his initial claims. He just needs to point. Point. It's true because I said so. Don't expect me to actually make any arguments.
His happy musicals.
See me a music video.
Like, you can hate Hasan, dude. You can watch the stream and hate Hasan. I'm sure that there are even people in here who feel that way. But, like, you have to agree, this is pathetic, right? This is pathetic. Cash Sky, thank you for the 3 months. Mimi, thank you for the 4 months. It's just, he's not providing anything of substance to disagree with what Hasan is saying. He's just saying, look at how fucking this guy's an idiot. He's an idiot. He doesn't even know what it did. Just believe me. Source, trust me, bro. I guess he has to pay his mortgage or something. He had to put out his monthly Hasan video, his weekly Hasan video, so that he could pay his bills.
They love walking over like the American flag and the Israeli flag side by side. They will always like march on it. When you said music video, I'm expecting like
you zoomed in on that. Stepping on the American flag and Israeli flag is just sort of self-evidently bad, I guess. You know, these genocidal imperialist nations.
bad example. Chris Brown dancing, you know.
No. They do they do musicals. They're very musical people.
Praising their leaders, all while hypocritically defending Russia and China's invasion of their neighbors.
You call Crimea? I call it a part of Russian territory. That's what I call Crimea. I call it Crimea River. Bite the bullet on the Tim Houthi kid. Why? Why would I ever? If I did something that was fucked up.
Bite the bullet. What? Like, he doesn't even make his argument. He does not make any sort of argument.
It's literally just posting Hasan clips and then being like, can you believe it? And because he's just throwing clip after clip after clip and they're so poorly edited, by the time you have, like, if you are the rare viewer that has any brain cells where you're like, okay, so this Crimea clip, like, what's the takeaway supposed to be here? Which is already giving them way too much credit, because I promise you none of these people have any understanding of geopolitics if the primary content that they consume is YouTube slop about YouTuber drama. Before you even get to have a thought and understand why you're disagreeing with the person that's being clip-chimped, it immediately goes into another clip about something completely different. So your brain doesn't even have a second to, like, figure out why you're supposed to be upset about it. It's just clip after clip after clip after clip and being like, see, I'm right, moving on.
You notice that, right? He just shows you things and points at them.
By my estimations, I would of course apologize for it. I have time and time again.
Name one time. He can't because he's never owned up to anything. Hasan continued.
You haven't proven anything. You just show clips and insist that you are correct. This is him doing an ad, of course. Moral consistency. Let's check it out, guys. Wait, we're talking about Jews?
By some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
No, it's not illegal.
It's so beautiful here. I should go to the old city so I can get my fucking shit pushed in. By some of the most inbred fundamentalist hicks.
No, it's not illegal. It's not.
It's just talking about Jews. Would it be wrong? Would this guy think that it was? Oh, he probably would. He's probably like a white nationalist. He probably would think it's wrong if you call like guys who fly Confederate flags in the U.S. inbred hicks as well. Moral consistency. Okay, let's check this out. Let's see the first 3 minutes of the video.
Just so you guys know, that section of the video, I think it's titled Hasan Hates Inferior Cultures. The clips we just watched were supposed to prove to us that Hasan hates inferior cultures. Like, I'm getting a headache from how poorly clipped these are.
Video aren't even original content. It's just him showing clips for like really dumb people to get angry at.
Hasan's politics really baffles me. He just doesn't seem very consistent. When Russia invaded Ukraine, he constantly justified it by saying Ukraine and its army was full of Nazis. This is the same propaganda Russia pushes. Hasan acted like every citizen in Ukraine was on the
Okay, wait. He's going to pull up a clip of this, right?
verge of
Did you say that he supports the invasion?
fascism.
The reason why a small amount of nationalist forces gaining prominence is additionally fucking terrifying. It's like Tinder, okay? It can call.
This clip is, or I can already tell, it's not him saying the invasion was justified because of this. It's just him saying, acknowledging that something existed.
Cause a fucking wildfire of nationalism because it's already baked in to the attitudes of the commoner, okay? Every person already has like a predisposition towards nationalist tendencies. So the issue is when you start legitimizing the nationalist guys, boom, all of a sudden the country could turn fascist like that, okay?
He justified Russia annexing Ukraine.
What?
That was pathetic. Oh my God. If you want to talk about Hasan and his opinions and his takes on Russia and Ukraine, the one instance where it would make sense to criticize him that I can think of immediately off the top of my head is that he didn't believe that Russia would invade Ukraine for a short period of time because it was an absurd notion that Russia would invade Ukraine because it was not a good decision on behalf of Russia. Zelensky didn't believe that they would invade. That we had U.S. intelligence, from my understanding, you can correct me if I'm wrong, we had U.S. intelligence that suggested that Putin wanted to invade Ukraine, and U.S. Officials spoke to Ukrainian people in powers of position, specifically Zelensky, and told them we have good reason to believe that Putin wants to invade Ukraine. And Zelensky himself literally said that's, I don't think so. They didn't believe it. They were like, no, Russia wouldn't do something that silly. Because it was not a rational decision by Putin. It was not a rational decision by Putin at all, even a little bit. And that's why Hasan said what he said. Which, like, if you're trying to nail Hasan on something, or you're trying to, like, make Hasan seem stupid. At least clip the right thing. At least clip him correctly. At least clip him talking about that and being like, oh, isn't this weird that he did this and then they invaded? At least do that. This is pathetic. Dragon Army, Tinder, what do I grinder? Swamp, thank you for the prime. This is stupid. This is like, what? Hello, just a homeless chatter passing by looking for a new Twitch stream after unfollowing Asmongold. Welcome. Welcome to my homeless chatters. Please find a home here. This is ridiculous. This is so fucking stupid. This is so dumb. This is unbelievably dumb. Being like, oh, look, here's a clip of Hasan saying that the reason Russia invaded Ukraine was to get rid of the Nazis in Ukraine. And then he plays a clip showing how tensions have risen in the region. You didn't even prove it. Sorry, this level of like anti-intellectualism is like, it's too much even for me. It's just too much for me.
Constantly.
Regardless of whether he wants it or not, he needs it as a buffer state. Exactly. Exactly. Russia's historic access into the Black Sea.
That was like him justifying that. That was literally just like an explanation of why Russia invaded. And he takes it as like him endorsing it, I guess.
Crimea, that's like...
He just shows clips and you're supposed to take them the way that he's framing them when they don't even say what he's saying at all, for one. And for two, he doesn't actually explain like what is even going on, why you're supposed to think it's bad. Honestly, this video, it's not transformative enough to be considered free use. It's not. It's not. Like saying one line and then showing 10 clips of someone else is not transformative. Hasan should copyright strike this, 100%. He should just copyright strike this. This would not pass in court for fair use. Hasan should just lawsuit this guy and everyone else who makes videos that are just like 5 minutes of a Hasan clip and then one word of commentary. These people should not be allowed to just make money by taking your clips, compiling them, and saying one sentence every 5 minutes. This is like 3 or 4 times more successful than his usual videos. He should not be allowed to get away with this shit. If you want to make a video criticizing someone, you should at least be expected to like respond to their clips for like at least half the duration that you're playing the clips. Ideally more than the duration that you're playing the clips, but I think that's a fair standard. This is not that. It's him saying one sentence and then he shows like 10 clips in a row. He's not even actually doing anything with the video. It's not transformative in the slightest. There's not like enough commentary here, enough criticism to qualify as fair use.
Okay?
He justified Russia annexing Ukraine constantly.
Regardless of whether he wants it or not, he needs it as a buffer state. Exactly. Exactly. Russia's historic access into the Black Sea, Crimea, that's like historically and ethnically all Russian, majority Russian.
They're Nazis. Everyone's going to be radicalized. But when it comes to a fundamentalist group like Hamas that theoretically would run the country, Hasan doesn't seem to have those same worries. He justifies it by using Republicans as stand-ins for Hamas.
I'm saying that the gay people and the trans people that are living under those conditions in Gaza, right, see Israel as a far larger problem in their existence.
That clip was not related to the words that he chose to use. And he knew that, which is why he pivoted to Hamas. Because he realized that the clip was in bad faith and he couldn't frame it well enough. So he decided, here, let me pivot this way to Hamas because everybody knows Hamas is bad. Oh my God, dude.
Then they do like Islamic fundamentalism in terms of governance.
That's not even like the same thing. He's talking about like homophobic attitudes in like third world countries, in colonized countries. And he's comparing that to Hasan, mentioning that like the Azov battalion exists at all. In a clip where Hasan didn't actually say that he thought that justified the Russian invasion.
But these are the same people who think that if you ever cover anything that is sympathetic or that empathizes with the Palestinian struggle, you are clearly pro-Hamas. Like, there are people that are delusional enough to think that I am anti-Semitic because I don't like Sabra hummus. When I was covering, like, October 7th, and the week following, the month following October 7th, the number of people that called me terrorist sympathizer was insane. Why? Because I had the audacity to say, you have to understand how we got here. You can't put millions of people in the world's largest open-air prison, deny them food, deny them water, deny them building materials, deny them citizenship, deny them roads, deny them entry, deny them exit, deny them jobs and basic dignity, and then be shocked and surprised that they wouldn't just roll over and die. You cannot create the environment that would eventually lead to violence and then be shocked that there would be violence. That's fucking stupid. And by saying that, despite the fact that I've also said on many occasions, October 7th is a travesty, and the fact that any Israeli civilians had to die on October 7th is just really fucking sad and really depressing. And I actually agree with most Israelis who believe this to be a failure on the Israeli state, which was at the time, and I believe is still at the time currently, the opinion of Israelis who live in Israel. They believe that October 7th was a failure of the state of Israel to protect its people because they knew about the attack and they did not take it seriously. And that I can come on my stream and I can say these things, these very, very, very lukewarm opinions of, hey, actually human suffering is bad, war is bad. I blame the state of Israel for creating this situation. And it is depressing that any civilians have to die. Civilians who have nothing to do with this fucking conflict have to die. Somehow I am an anti-Semite that thinks that Hamas should be doing whatever the hell they want, according to some fucking idiots on the internet, because I have the audacity to do any analysis. The only argument that will ever be made about what happened is that it didn't begin or end on October 7th. Yes, the only time I have disagreed with people on October 7th is that the conflict did not begin on October 7th. It began long before October 7th. But apparently, if you have any analysis, it means that you clearly are sympathizing with terrorists. And it's the same thing that's happening right here. It's like you are trying to explain the opinions and beliefs of the people who live in Crimea, or the opinions and beliefs of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which means that you obviously think that Russia should just take over the world and take as much territory as they want. And he can't even find a clip. He can't even find a clip of Hasan saying it. Why? Because there is no fucking clip of this. If you subjugate, kick, spit on, abuse, starve, or give people into feeling that they have nothing to live for, they will fight like they have nothing to live for. You can't even support Palestine in Canada without being a sympathizer. The best analogy I would say for the dehumanizing circumstances that Palestinians have been put into or been forced to live under, just think about how Americans act. You chatters, I'm sure you guys have seen enough American media, like the movie Taken, that you would understand. But think about how Americans act when they start fucking having wet dreams about killing a home invader. And they're like, yeah, this guy who's going to come steal my TV, I'm going to protect my wife and my kids by taking out my shotgun and hitting and fucking shooting him 20 times. Like, Americans have the biggest fucking hard-ons for violence against people who commit even the smallest wrongdoing against them. Americans unironically believe that you see someone stealing your TV, it's time to kill. I want to kill. Which is just pathetic. It's just disgusting. It's insane. I mean, you don't know someone's intentions when they break in. I'm not saying that you aren't allowed to use violence when someone is entering your home in the middle of the night. That's not what I'm saying. If you think that's what I'm saying, I don't know how to tell you. You're not using enough brain cells. I'm saying fantasizing about killing someone is weird fucking behavior.
I started blasting.
That is weird behavior. Fantasizing about like disarming a home invader, I think that's just like epic. That makes sense. But like fantasizing about killing someone because they wanted to steal from you you're weird to think that. You're weird to fantasize about killing. That is a weird thing. Obviously, in the moment, if you see a home invader and they're like wearing a mask and you don't know if they have a weapon or not, and it's the middle of the night, and you use a weapon, and you use force that is lethal, I don't think you're a bad person. I think you were doing your best in that moment, and I think you responded the way that I think a lot of other people would respond.
Pancakes to waffles comparison chatter.
If it's like dark, they're in your kitchen, you see that they're wearing like a balaclava, and you can't tell what weapon they have. You can tell that they have a weapon, you can't tell what weapon they have, and you kill that person at that point. That's sad because it is loss of life. But also, like, I don't think you're a bad person. Your body is like responding to a high stress situation. And you're doing what you think you have to protect your life and your family members' lives. I don't think you're a bad person for any of those things. But like getting giddy about it, getting excited about it, getting horny about killing people is fucking weird. You are weird. You are weird to think that. I mean, literally look at how some Americans think that looting should be punished. Yes. People see a particular group doing looting, in some instances, which is not looting, which I'm not going to get into media bias, but they see like people going into a Walmart and stealing stuff, and they're like, dude, we should kill these people. What? What? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? Are you normal? It's not, we should arrest these people. It's not, they should serve time for their crime. It's, we should kill them. Who wants to kill them? The number of right-wingers that you can find that talk about how we should kill thieves and how you should protect your neighborhood. Like, literally the Kyle Rittenhouse of the world. That think that the blood gods need to be paid. Rittenhouse literally did this. I mean, we're not even going to get into it. But like literally, Rittenhouse showed up where he did to protect property. As well as everybody else who showed up there. Kyle Shittenhouse, yes, thank you. And then scream about how Arabs are savages because they cut the hands of thieves, which has not happened in like fucking hundreds of years or whatever. But moving on about on that topic or off that topic. Americans love to fantasize about excessive uses of violence if somebody encroaches on their territory even a little bit. And they love to pretend like they're Batman, but like more violent than Batman. But the idea that you, someone living in Gaza, could lose your family, your entire family, could lose limbs, could lose all your food, your water, your electricity, your home, but you are still expected to behave and be polite, otherwise you're a terrorist, is absurd to me. It is insane to me. Does that mean terrorism is okay? No, it doesn't fucking mean terrorism is okay. It means that you can't create these circumstances and then be surprised and be like shocked Pikachu when people retaliate. You can't create the conditions that people will use to retaliate and then be shocked when they retaliate. What the hell? And this isn't even talking about like the decades of context of Gazans trying their best to be non-violent. This isn't even talking about the march to return, the peaceful march to return that led to how many innocent civilians dying? How many videos of like Israeli snipers shooting unarmed children do you have to watch before you have to believe that it is not a shock that these people would turn to violence when every other means that they've tried to use hasn't worked? When other governments just don't give a fuck. When other people don't give a fuck. Look, I'm contributing. Thank you for the prime. You are contributing. Oh, thank you, Pasta. Thanks. So, anyways. That's all I want to say. All right. That's what I wanted to discuss. That's the gist of it. Just to explain that, like, to clip chimp someone and then not even do it well is pretty pathetic. I'm going to be honest.
Does not make any sense at all. Like, it's just like, this is what I say all the time. These people's strategy is to either point at something and insist that it is by default wrong, or to compare something with something that is obviously different and insist that it's the same.
If we were getting ruthlessly slaughtered by...
I mean, literally, what is the transphobic argument? It's unnatural. What has been the homophobic argument? It's unnatural. What has been the argument against abortion? It's immoral and wrong and we shouldn't do it because Jesus said so. Like, you don't actually have to make arguments if you're on the right. You get to just point at something and say, this is immoral and wrong, and that's good enough.
An alien force, I wouldn't give a fuck if someone was homophobic or not. I'd be like, thank you for
Why are you zooming in on this? Like, it's not self-evidently correct. Why are you zooming in on him here? Like, you think that you just got him in like a fucking ownage moment. What's wrong about what he's saying? Can you explain that?
Fighting against the alien force. That seems awesome that you're doing that. I would actually arm up side by side with my fellow homophobic, Republican, rabid Christian fundamentalist sociopaths to try and protect my home. And that's the point.
That's the same thing as the Azov battalion fighting in Ukraine. How does he have these conflicting opinions? It makes no sense.
It's not, though.
What's your honest opinion of badempanada? I haven't watched that much content from badempanada. I think badempanada is like effective. That is how I would describe him. That he believes that there are things that matter more than civility. Like, I don't know, a genocide. And that we should care about those things more than, like, being nice to liberals. Guys, we have to be nice. I do think he has some questionable tweets, but I feel like that's the leftist YouTuber special.
Because the Azov battalion in Ukraine is not the only Ukrainian armed group. There's no reason for them to exist. One,
he recently made a funny short video called Thank You, Ethan Klein. I might watch it.
Supports them existing, which is bad. Or two, they have too much power so that the state is too scared to get rid of them, which is also bad. You don't need like a specific armed group for neo-Nazis. In Palestine, Hamas is the armed group. It's the only real armed resistance, aside from other armed groups that you also hate just as much. Ukraine is a country with a real military. Azov is but one unit. So what you do in that situation, if you really want to fight the Nazis, is you just forcibly disband that unit and you take the fighters from it and you distribute them through the rest of the military. Whereas, I don't know if you know this, but Palestine does not have a military. It's not allowed to have one. If Palestine had a military, we would not be having this discussion right now at all. Yeah, I mean, I've never seen anyone say that, like, Azov kills gays. They're probably homophobic, but has anyone ever said,
made the horrific decision to call Palestinians' culture inferior? Hasan rightfully called him out for this.
These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
It's terrifying.
Colbean, thank you for the tier 1. Coda Hard, thank you for the 14 months.
Like, saying they're inferior, saying they're evil, to justify the death and destruction that befalls them is so horrifying.
Because remember, Hasan would never call another culture inferior. He would never do that.
I don't agree in theocracy at all.
But, like, wouldn't that mean that it would be inferior?
Or, no, I wouldn't say that any culture is inferior to one another. All life must be cherished. Their lives are no different, even if they disagree fundamentally with you.
But if we just go back to last year, Hasan was justifying China's invasion of Tibet for the same reason. Their inferior culture. He says China's imperialism is good because they focus on taking over their neighbors.
Chinese development and Chinese military action is either irredentist in nature, which is different than imperialist, where it's like it's more so expansive in its own.
This is him explaining concepts. Like, do you think Hasan thinks that irredentism is good? What? This guy sees an explanation, he takes it as an endorsement.
Limited area rather than global imperialism, which is done with the express effort with the
Tibet, Taiwan.
Tibet was literally a feudal slave.
Okay, for one, first thing, he was describing the difference between, say, for example, irredentism, which is like, my country has a right to take this state, this smaller country that is on our border or whatever, versus like American-style globe-spanning imperialism, where it's like, We want to essentially control as much as we reasonably can every single country in the world and force them to pursue our own interests. That was what he was talking about in the first place there, explaining the difference between like China and the US as global powers. He takes an explanation first as like an endorsement. So now let's see what the supposed calling Tibetan culture inferior was.
Feudal slave mandate, like
So
autonomous zone.
China did them a favor.
That was one. I mean, in America, when I say something like this, people get very upset. You know, we talk about the Dalai Lama saying "suck my tongue" or whatever, but like that's not far from the norm in normal Tibetan existence before the Communist Party came in and
So China unilaterally took over Tibet.
Like
these are their culture. They basically are trying to, you know, homogenize the culture.
In the name of squashing an inferior culture, China killed over 87,000 Tibetans. That's 1.2 million, 1 out of every 6 Tibetans.
So let's talk about this comparison for a second. I think it should be pretty self-evident. So Asmongold said that Palestinians deserve to be genocided.
Also, to be clear, those are not even the same. Like comparing the Asmongold clip to the clip that we just watched from Hasan, those are not the same. This is just not the same. One of them is explicitly calling the other one inferior. The other one is saying, here is how this benefited this area and this and this and this. Describing the situation and describing what has happened and describing the before and the after, describing the circumstances is not saying that, you should just do genocide, yeah. This is just, it's just so lukewarm.
Because they have an inferior culture, because genocide is literally baked into their laws. That's the quote that he said. For one, that's not true. And he explicitly said they have an inferior culture. Straight up. They deserve to be genocided because they have an inferior culture. And the justification that he came up with to justify this idea was that they have genocide baked into their laws. Now, if you can find the genocide law in Palestinian law, in the Palestinian, legal code, please bring it up for us. You're going to have trouble with that. Now, let us talk about Tibet. What did Hasan say about Tibet? Tibet was a country that had slavery, serfdom. This was bad. When China invaded Tibet, it abolished slavery and serfdom. This was good. Do you think that slavery and serfdom are like protected cultural characteristics? Is that the argument that you're making here? Is that genuinely what you believe? So would you say that it was genocide when the North attacked the southern US and forced them to abolish slavery? Was that genocide, my friend? I would like to see your answer to that question. Now, perhaps
this literally has the same vibe as like the so-called tolerant left doesn't like Nazis. Tell someone on the tolerant left you're a Nazi and see what happens. See how tolerant they are then. This is the same thing. He's doing the same thing. Oh. Hasan claims to be against calling cultures inferior. Here's a clip of him not saying that, and also here's me comparing Asmongold calling these people inferior and downplaying a genocide and saying I don't give a fuck because they're inferior. Let me compare that to this clip of Hasan saying slavery is bad, and this occupation caused the slavery to stop, which was good. As you can see, hypocrite. Hello? Does he think that if you say you're not allowed to call cultures inferior, you're also not allowed to be against cultures that have serfdom? What?
Slavery and serfdom was indeed the culture of someone in Tibet. Like a tiny, tiny economic and social elite. But it certainly was not Tibetan culture. Do you think that most people in Tibet owned slaves and had serfs? Obviously, such a system could not possibly exist. Such a system requires a minority to exercise control over a majority who are the slaves and the serfs themselves. So, you compared there someone making up bullshit to justify genocide with someone invoking something that actually really did exist and that really was abolished as a result of the Chinese invasion, which was literal fucking slavery, like a socioeconomic system of oppression. Like the whole video is comparing things that aren't the same and insisting they're the same, apparently. I do not give a shit about preserving the culture of like a tiny slave-owning elite anywhere in the world. Do you? I would hope not.
These are the same people that think that like Mao was evil. 100%. These are the same dipshits that are like, you know, Mao killed some families. I mean, they were landlords and they owned a lot of capital and they used that capital to extort the people underneath them. But Mao shouldn't have killed them because killing is bad. Checkmate, liberal. What? Not to mention the fact that I don't believe that it's Tibetan culture to have slaves and serfs. Slavery and, serfs. Slavery and serfdom has existed in a lot of cultures. It's more of like a human characteristic that you put people in positions of power and they use their power to enforce their will over other people. And it is still currently ongoing. Like, I wouldn't say it's part of Arab culture to have slaves because in Dubai, most of the buildings are made with slave labor. A villainy, thank you for the 47 months. Holy shit. Like, huh? What? Like, literally, this guy, WillyMac, his primary criticism of Hasan is just that, like, he didn't couch his statement of Tibet well enough and say it sucks that the innocent people that died in the Chinese occupation, you know, they're gone and they died. That's his problem with his statement. Because if you have a problem with, like, removing serfdom, what the huh? You can't possibly have a problem with that. There's no way someone's stupid enough to have a problem with that. His problem is literally, but you didn't say it in the way that I wanted you to say it, and you didn't cushion your words enough. So now I'm going to compare you to this guy who called a culture inferior. What?
I would hope that you can see the difference in feudal lords in Tibet owning slaves and Asmongold saying that Palestinians believe that in genocide, so they deserve to be genocided. Something which is not true. Asmongold outright said that, you know, Palestinian culture, all Palestinians are inferior. I do not think that saying that slavery is bad and it's good that it was abolished is the same thing as that. This is, by the way, this is the first...
I mean, these are the same people who, like, when you try and say anything good about China, they freak out. When you try and say anything good about the USSR, they freak out. They're like, yeah, well, did you know that bad things happened in China? Do you know that bad things happened in the USSR? It's like, and famously, nothing bad ever happens in capitalist countries. You never, just to make sure we're on the same page, you have never, ever dick-rided for capitalism because you understand that bad things happen under capitalism, right? Oh, no, you don't, because you don't give a fuck about that. You can point at clear, what would you describe them as? Victories, I think, for the USSR without necessarily endorsing everything. You don't have to endorse everything about the USSR to be like, yeah, their focus on housing was good. Yes, their focus on schooling, that was good. On an educated population, that was good. Their focus on space travel and beating the US on every front except putting someone on the moon, that was good. Like, you can say all of these things are good, and then they'll be like, yeah, well, have you seen Soviet housing? It's like, let me ask the homeless people if they would rather live in a shitty apartment or if they would rather live on the street. And unfortunately, like, these people just they love to quote how many people communism has killed, but then famously capitalism has never killed anyone ever. Famously, no one has died under capitalism. No one has died because other people want to make profit off them. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? The liberal cope is strong. Yeah. I mean, you have to be a liberal. I didn't realize how propagandized I was about the USSR and China for a long time. I remember when I found out like how badly the US lost the space race and how crazy our rewriting of history was until I realized I was giga propagandized. I was like, oh. Like years ago, I was like, oh, wait. We lost that? The only thing we did first was put someone on the moon? That's embarrassing. Jesus. Oh my God. How was I never taught about any of this stuff in school? Jesus. First object, animal, and person in space, but somehow we won because we got to the moon first? It's a joke. Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, it's just it's really pathetic. It's really sad that people like this, like not badempanada, but the WillyMac guy, that they think that this is like a good dunk. And then it's even sadder the people who watch it and they're like, I wasn't paying attention at all to the video, but you made fun of Hasan. So based.
The very first thing off Google.
I don't understand how you could be pro-Palestine and then support Russia and China. Israel's neighbors with Gaza. Does that make what they're doing okay? No, of course not.
Do you think it's okay? Have you ever made a video denouncing it? It seems like instead of actually denouncing it, you just attack people who are against it. I wonder why that is. I wonder why you are so extremely laser focused on that. It's almost like you support the genocide and you're too fucking cowardly to say so.
Oh, of course not. His politics makes no sense. It's constant.
Let's be fair to you. I don't think anything will make sense to you. You're too fucking dumb to understand anything. Let's just be real about that point first. Like, of course it doesn't make sense to you. You think that, like, abolishing slavery is an attack on culture. You think that abolishing slavery is genocide. So, yeah, I'd say you're quite confused here. And I think basically anything would confuse you.
Contradicting himself, but then you realize that he's America bad all the time. That's it.
Let me explain to you 2 principles that you should keep with you.
You're so right. We need more people saying how good America is. Oh my God, dude. Freedom of speech enjoyers be like, stop talking about how America's bad.
From a person who's Turkish, okay? When you look at a situation in the Middle East, you look at what the local government is and who the Western forces are. Never align with the Western forces. That's a principle that you could take home with you if you want to actually be moral or if you want to be smart about.
Notice how he can't actually explain to us how this is wrong. Oh, you just say America bad, America bad. Why do you talk like a 12-year-old? Why are we not able to actually engage with what is being said and just show clips? Why? You haven't responded to fucking anything this whole video. You just show clips. Again, Hasan, copyright strike this guy. Copyright strike him, please. If he can test it, take him to court, and then YouTube has to abide by whatever the court says. And I think there's a pretty good chance.
This is what I mean when I say the only understanding that I have of badempanada is that he doesn't believe in like civility politics. That he believes in what he's talking about right now. He's one of the few people on the left that I've seen that have this conviction of, no, this guy is such a bad faith actor, you should strike his channel because fuck this guy. It is a pathetic showing, and someone who has such a pathetic showing like this shouldn't have a channel that they're allowed to post on in the way that they're currently posting on. Do I agree with this? No, because I'm a streamer and streamers are not allowed to DMCA anything. Otherwise, you just get canceled for the next 5 years. But I think it's... listen, okay? He is very much a fuck around and find out guy. I mean, yeah. I think if the right has a billion of, like, the fuck around and find out guys, I think the left can have one as a treat.
That the court would say that this does not constitute legitimate fair use because he's not actually making any criticism of what he's saying. He's just saying, here's what he said and showing clips of it. That is not transform.
I mean, he's right, but I'm not a content creator, so I get why y'all wouldn't. Like, if you don't understand why, not like trying to shit on you at all, but if you don't understand why content creators don't DMCA things, or at the very least streamers don't, go look at like the discourse that occurred when Pokimane dared to DMCA someone for clip chimping the fuck out of her. And the absolute like dog shit that came out of that.
Formative criticism, just like a rage compilation.
The way you analyze other countries, that's one basic principle that you can take home
This
with
is
you.
the sort of slop content that should be banned under YouTube term and service. It should not be. People should not be allowed to make money off just showing clips of other people and not adding anything to them.
All of a sudden,
people like this.
Oh my God! Majority report. Hi. Hi, Raiders. Welcome. Welcome, 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 guys. I'm back. Welcome back. Thanks. Thank you. Guys, I got unbanned. Let's go. I have learned my ways. I understand now. It's wrong to make fun of Sabra hummus. I will not commit that sin again. Sabra hummus is the best, and I love it so much. It's great. We are reformed now. We are super reformed now. Yes. Yes. Do you guys see Sabra's going out of business? Dude, I saw that shit. Oh, it's so sad. Oh my God, that's so sad that that's happening to Sabra hummus. Their flavor is really so unmatched. I'm going to be so depressed if I never get to have any in the future ever. Ugh, shucks. Darn. Oh my God, needle drop, what the fuck? Melon Man, is that you? Thank you for the raid. Hi. Hi, Raiders. Welcome. Can't believe I get the Melon Man raid. What the? Maybe life is worth living. Maybe you should never kill yourself. Oh, God. I hope Bassem Youssef wins something. Dude. I like how no one is taking this seriously at all. This fucking top 24 anti-Semite of the year. Fucking Bassem Youssef is like, please vote for me. I cannot lose this. No one is taking it seriously. I mean, there's only, what, one real anti-Semite on this, and that's Candace Owens. And it's pathetic because Candace Owens is not on here because she's an anti-Semite. She's on here because she's anti-Israel. Jake Shields too. I don't know enough about Jake Shields. He might be. I get him and like the other Jakes that post about internet news confused. Blazarian as well. Yeah. You're right. Jackson Tinkle is like less of an anti-Semite and more of to be clear, I'm sure he's said anti-Semitic things, but he's more of what's the term? Nosbol? Is that the term? Is that the meme name of the political ideology? Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's just a joke. He's just a joke. And it's kind of sad that so many people found out about him because he happened to be based about Palestine. Why is Greta Thunberg on there? You didn't know? Look, you can see that she's wearing the keffiyeh. She's very clearly anti-Semitic. Also, isn't she German? I rest my case. Okay, guys? I rest my case. Oh, she's Swedish? Oh. Haha. Yeah. Sure she is. Greta Thunberg, if that even is her real name. Why are you guys playing cover up for an anti-Semite, huh? Why are you guys defending an anti-Semite? Pretty anti-Semitic of you to be defending an anti-Semite. Pretty sick. National Bolshevik, but he's not actually a communist. He's just a moron. Yeah. I mean, you won't see me defend Jackson Tinkle here. I tried as well as anyone else could to inform people, hey, please don't support this guy just because he happens to have the right opinion on Palestine. But, you can only do so much. But when half the people on that list are on there just because they criticize Israel, it doesn't really hold any fucking weight. All right, let's try and finish this video. Let's get as far as we can.
This should be working in McDonald's, working in the mines, not making tons of money off this shit.
magically you are above on your foreign policy analysis. You're going to be better off than 90% of people that look at the situation.
That's not what an analysis is. That's doing the same thing Sneeko does. And Hasan's always...
Why can you actually respond to him?
Been this way. He doesn't care about principles or being morally consistent.
Do I think that this could be a dangerous precedent? Absolutely. But the right has been doing this for a very long time.
Yeah,
but
and
they've
they're
been
wrong.
able to.
That's the point. The point is they're wrong, and I hate them, and I hate their tactics.
But no one cares about being morally consistent, or no one cares about.
I do. I care about that.
I know
very
you
much.
do, but in the end of the day,
he just wants his side to win at all costs. It's tournament.
Well, yeah, because his side is actually, a side that actually wants good things, and the Republicans want to institute like
good things and bad things are exactly the same. I am very smart. This is like the people that claim censorship and are like, how could you want to deplatform people? I bet if I wanted to deplatform people, you wouldn't be in support of that. And it's like, yeah, that's because the people we want to deplatform are like Nick Fuentes, and the people you want to deplatform think that people should have health care. Actually, you should deplatform Nazis, and you shouldn't deplatform people that are trying to fight for worker rights. There's actually a difference between good things and bad things.
bad things. I think that's probably why he's saying that. Right? It's fucking obvious, right? You'd be sitting there abiding by your principles as Hitler puts you in a camp. Well, no, he wouldn't put you in a camp. You'd be by his side. But you know what I mean. Like playing by your morals and principles while people who don't play by them work to like destroy you is probably not a good idea.
Running straight up terrorist propaganda for the past 10 months.
Mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia. I'll be making fucking dough.
This segment, wait, if this segment is like entirely about Rashid, made 5 days ago, this is months after like all of the facts regarding what he actually is, his relation to the Houthis and stuff like that were established. Let's see what he says. Let's see if he digs himself a hole that could possibly result in a big, nice payment for our friend in Yemen.
In the pizzeria.
Hasan has been rewriting history when it comes to the Houthi terrorists he did propaganda for. Now he's just...
What makes them terrorists? You never explained to us what terrorism is and why you think they're terrorists.
Some random teenager.
Random fucking Yemeni teenager. The Yemeni kid not connected to the Houthis. And
he is a 19-year-old Yemeni teenager, not from the Houthi tribe, nor from the Houthi organization.
This
has been established for months at this point. For months.
Not only does it not matter to me if he was or not, it would obviously change the dynamic of the interview if he was. Most people don't know that he isn't a Houthi or have seen his post about respecting Jews. I don't really care. They will just say, oh, he's doing PR.
These are all provable lies. When Hasan initially interviewed the Houthi, it was framed as him being a terrorist.
Bro, are we about to have a Houthi rebel on stream? Yes, brother. What do you mean?
It was framed as him thinking that. And then he was corrected in the middle of the interview when the guy was like, no, actually, I'm just a random guy who uploaded TikToks.
Excuse me? Of course I'm about to have a... I'm a journalist, okay? This is journalism.
When Hasan asked if he was Houthi, the guy did not answer, instead referring to the Houthis' justification for pirating commercial ships.
I don't know if he is...
It's not just me, right? Like,
actually, I'm just a random guy who...
There's something very bad optically about putting this clip of Hasan with like the Giga Chad beard. And I'm not really a beard enjoyer. I'm a mustache enjoyer, to be very clear. I'm a Hastache enjoyer. I believe in stash supremacy. I don't believe in beard supremacy personally, okay? But there's something very interesting about posting this clip.
Excuse me? Of course I'm about to have...
With this beard?
I'm a journalist, okay? This is journalism.
When Hasan asked if...
And then immediately swapping back to yourself. Does that not just like... I can't believe doing that. You would do this to yourself. You would soy out on camera immediately after showing someone who's Giga Chad. Like... Don't you feel embarrassed? Even a little?
If he was Houthi, the guy did not answer, instead referring to the Houthis' justification for pirating commercial ships.
I don't know if he is allowed to speak on this. I don't know if he's like actually a part of the groups at all, or just like simply...
He said, no, he doesn't actually know. He said, this is just contradicting the clip that you just showed, because he didn't actually know.
TikToker, you know?
Like, you shouldn't show clips that just contradict what you just tried to imply.
You know what I mean? I don't know how to ask that in the best way possible, though.
Yeah, I feel like we can ask him pretty directly. His answer is he's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine.
Hasan will go on to greenlight the
He's a Yemeni who stands with Palestine, so he did not say that he is a member of the organization or anything. That's your proof that he is? I think we should at least ask a decent defamation lawyer about this.
Houthis' mission of attacking civilian commercial ships on behalf of him and his entire chat.
We think
attacking civilian. Look at his fucking face there. That is like a wow. That was incredible. Did you see him?
we think the
Where is it?
I feel like we can ask
His mission of attacking civilian commercial
Look at like the fake outrage face.
ships on behalf of him and his entire
Like the fake outrage face, the fake gestures, the no chin. Like he's the guy from the comic strip, and it's like, where the fuck is your chin? That's this guy.
chat.
We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
The whole point of this interview was to make this Houthi soldier seem relatable.
You know how this guy, he does not see any reason to argue, not just why this guy's a terrorist, he does not see any reason to argue why it is wrong to blockade ships from countries that are supporting genocide. He does not try to argue, how this guy is linked to that, how the Houthis are terrorists. He does not point to any sort of specific anything. He just feels that it's a default that everyone should agree with. When if you cornered him on this, do you think he could tell you?
Is this the guy who went to Poland, or was this a different racist dude? I think that was a different one. That guy actually has the energy to like do things and physically leave his house. I'm pretty sure this guy's too soy to actually leave his house. I mean, look at his twink fingers. This guy looks like the heaviest thing he's carried is like a pen. Come on.
Like, I'd love to get this guy on stream and say, okay, hands up, show us your hands, no Googling. Explain to us in 5 minutes or less how and why the Houthis are terrorists. Not even that guy, how the Houthis are terrorists. I would fucking love to know that.
He's just like me and you. One of his viewers would point this out, and Hasan would tell him to shut up.
Maybe explain why you're trying to get this type of humanizing information from. Okay, shut up, chatter. Come on, it's not like that's crazy. What does he have to say to dumbasses that consider him to be a terrorist? What does he think about that? Ask me that question. I just banned one of those stupid f***ers in the chat just now.
She says, who are they?
48 months Podgies.
Just f***ing dumbasses.
Wow, what an insightful interview. When a viewer offered a real question for Hasan to ask, Hasan ignores it, instead asking about food.
Okay, what else do I want to ask? So, like, I mean, he's...
What real question?
Ask him if he would stop going on boats if Israel stops the genocide. I mean, yeah, he's going to say yes, chat.
They've already said that. That's why the blockade is being carried out. To stop the genocide. And for one, he's not even doing that. He's a guy who visited one of the boats because it's a literally fucking tourist attraction that anyone can visit. The organization has straight up said that numerous times.
What are you talking about? Those are like dumbass questions. Has he ever had like Western food?
Great question. Hasan is woven an imaginary personality.
How dare you treat this guy from Yemen like a 19-year-old guy from Yemen? How dare you treat him like a human being? How dare you try to have a conversation with another human being rather than treating him like a terrorist because of his nationality and the fact that he's against Israeli genocide? How dare you? How dare you, Mr. No-Chin here? He's enraged by that. He can't explain to you how and why this guy is a terrorist. He can't even explain to you why the Houthis are terrorists. And for the record, this guy is obviously not even connected to them in any formal manner. But how dare you ask normal questions about himself? They are not to be humanized.
For this guy, where he's not a Houthi, he's not anti-Semitic, he's basically just Anne Frank.
First of all, he wasn't Houthi. I asked him. He was like, I'm not.
This never happened in his interview. He's just lying. When the pirate was asked if he was a soldier on...
The pirate was... so he's a pirate, he's a Houthi terrorist, he's all of these things that you would need to actually prove in court.
Instagram, he replied yes. Now his Instagram was banned, but this was still documented in news articles.
What does it mean if he's a soldier anyway? Let's say that he was a soldier. By the way, Healer Klein said that she was a soldier. So, okay, let's say that he said that he was a soldier. Could you explain how that makes him a terrorist exactly? Is being a Yemeni and being a soldier terrorist?
At the time. And who is the current governing body in Yemen? It's the Houthis. Stop believing.
Oh, so the Houthis you recognize the Houthis as a legitimate government of Yemen. Thank you for that.
Ooh.
Thank you for taking a firm stand against the American foreign policy.
Can I be honest, chat? This entire video, other than it being unbelievably deranged, the only other vibe it gives off is like this vibe. One's if you've seen this video, two's if you haven't. This is it. This is it. Wait, it's muted.
Nobody. There's not a single dissenting voice with his fucking straight up radical, anti-American, anti-Semitic, fucking pro-China, pro-Russia, pro-terrorism takes. This is fringe, psychotic shit that is not normal. And it is the only acceptable voice on Twitch. Explain that to me. How is there not one dissenting voice on that entire platform? Nobody.
Seething Klein. Seething Klein. Seething Klein, dude. That's like what I'm getting from this Willie Mac video. It's just like, it's just him like soying out of control for like 40 minutes apparently. And then being like, it's not me that's the one that's crazy, it's you, clearly. Oh, God, dude. I'm Mayor Cat, to be honest. Big Mayor Cat energy right now. I'm Mayor Cat, personally. But you know what else I am? I'm tired of watching that video, okay? I'm sorry, that video was so, like, it's fun to watch people be insane about normal things, but it's also boring at the same time, and it's like, oh God, I don't think I have the power to watch even another minute of, like, disingenuous stupidity on display. Fuck me, dude. And if you're gonna do it, at least be entertaining, or at least be attractive. Fuck. Pick a struggle. Fuck. Anyways, with that in mind,